Hello, I need to make this emergency announcement because the Illuminati is never going to reveal what's actually happening to the planet right now. Everybody who wants to keep their families safe and survive this cataclysm that's about to come needs to be very aware of what I'm about to show you. I've been compiling advanced analytical data and providing vector points with advanced algorithms to reveal that we are going to experience one of the largest catastrophes that has really shaken our planet over the last 50 to 65,000 years, and we're in the middle of this right now. As you can tell by this analytical data, which is the seismic activity over the last several weeks, we can see that there's a cross-corollary analysis of difficult vectors and trajectories using an advanced shell implosion algorithm that determines the tectonic stability across multiple rings of fire, as you will. Specifically, the ring of fire, as it's associated with the Western Hemisphere, is affecting an asymmetrical instability on the Eastern Hemisphere. And what this is likely to do is knock the entire Earth off axis. Now, this has never happened in the history in recorded history, and what we're looking at right now is the likelihood of this happening based on our strategic and cross-corollary tabulation based on several hundred data points and the way these data points converge. The likelihood of a major catastrophe happening within the next actually few days is in the 90 to 98% range. This means that any of you who are living on coastal areas within, say, 5 to 10 miles of any areas that are commonly experiencing tsunamis, when I say commonly, I'm talking historically, within a 50 to 100 year period, that is where it's common and likely that you could face a tsunami from the ripple effects. We're looking at Japan, Kauai, the coast of California, some areas in New Zealand, and several other vector points which we'll be revealing. As you can see, we've determined this cataclysm using this advanced algorithm by pointing the vector trajectories through the globe. The globe is essentially a dodecahedron that creates a tension or an asymmetrical tension based on several shifting tectonic plates. And the biomagnetic implosion that holds together this spherical calculus is really quite a delicate operation. And when you're dealing with something that is so delicate as the planet's global tectonic stability, you really have to determine the vector points where one earthquake on one side of the planet is going to be influenced by the counterbalance or asymmetric geometric dissonance on the opposing side of the planet within anywhere from 24 to 32 degrees. Now, this is an advanced analysis, and in the next few moments I'm going to actually tell you exactly what this means. So what do you think this data means? Absolutely nothing. Of course, those of you who have some scientific background understand that the data that I've been showing you here is absolutely meaningless, and it is all hype. Everything that I just said was marginal to expert neuromarketing tactics designed to hit your hot button using a certain kind of emotional jargon designed to rattle your cage by creating a lead, instigating a problem, and providing hysteria to this problem via emotional contagion. And what was I actually doing? I was using a specific kind of language, New Age and otherwise, to kind of ride the mimetic velocity that is the meme or the virus or the idea that's going around through social media, and use data that is very easily manipulatable data, which happens to be this 3D software called Earthquake Monitor. And by giving you a visual processing system that allows me to spin the data cube in all kinds of different directions, I took all kinds of data that is really kind of not that different than data if I had mapped it 100 years ago or 50 years ago, and make it look really, really scary. And the reason I'm doing this is to make a point. We need, in this new internet age, with this new mimetic velocity, that is the ideas and the speed with which ideas are traveling through social networks, and most of them bad ideas, we need a new way and a new skill to analyze and understand data. And the main thing for you to understand is that human beings look for patterns. And in the process of looking for patterns, for people who are uneducated, who don't know what the data means, they will easily be able to manipulate you into giving meaning to things that literally have none. For example, if we were to show this data over the last 100 years, you would see that comparatively, the data that we have right now could be considered a lull in relationship to other time periods. But what's happening is when we have a really scary thing that happens, such as an earthquake in Japan that has something really scary, it changes our sense. This is the neuroscience of conspiracy. It's also the neuroscience of fear, and it's the neuroscience of what's called the emotional contagion or emotional velocity in social networks. You can see the book called Connected for a little more insight into this. And what I'm really trying to get you to see here is that, guys, we are a flash in the pan, okay? We really are not in a time of change that's any more than any other time in history. Okay, the planet has gone through a lot of different changes, and we're just a flash in the pan in one of those other times. It's not as if the Earth changes and that it's going to change you, and the gravitational field effects are going to change your spiritual disposition or all these things. You can believe those kinds of things if you'd like to, that gravity affects your emotional well-being and that our bodies are connected to the Earth. That's all true, but it's not as if some cataclysmic event is going to be part and parcel towards your epimetic awakening. That is, your awakening and your self-awareness of how patterns drive behavior and also drive rumors and memes that you then pass on to your friends without fully understanding them. So my point in showing you this little trick is I am a professional neuromarketer. I manipulate minds for a living. So when you see these New Age Illuminati kind of hysterical kind of lead promoting type things out there with the anywhere from both the Conservative Party to the Libertarian Party, just make sure that you look at the data yourself before you pass it on. And what I'm not saying is that there is no black swan or unusual anomalous events. What I am saying is that whenever you get anyone giving you a meaning to these events, they are taking advantage of your dopamine. That is, your need to find patterns where oftentimes there are not patterns. In fact, more oftentimes than not, you're involved in something that is called matching. That is, the desire for the brain to make sense out of the madness by finding patterns where there are none. Now, it doesn't mean there are not rhythms. It does not mean there are not cycles. Okay, but most of the time, the meaning that we give those cycles is far less dangerous. It's far more dangerous than the meaning that they actually have. And I would also add to this that, for the most part, it is not the Earth's it's not the Earth that we have to worry about and the changes that she's going through that we have to worry about. The real reason that the brain has evolved advanced dopaminergic circuits and the reason it hungers for patterns and novelty is because of our social evolutionary structure. That is, we have the most complicated and complex social interactions of any species on the planet. That's part of why we've actually have an advanced frontal lobe, as well as the irrational desire to create meaning wherever we can and find patterns wherever we can. What's ironic is that we have a terrible capacity to actually find authentic patterns because of our irrationality. And that's dopamine at work. When we evolve to a point where we actually understand that we are seeking patterns, and most of the time those patterns are inaccurate, we actually jump to the next level of evolution, which I call your epimetic awakening. My name is Russell Wright. I am the Dopamine Whisperer. I'll see you on the inside.